All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Owl Central Games Thursday Night Frontier. I am Robert Ellis. Hopefully, I'll be joined by someone in the second round. I believe Eric Fairchild will be joining me. He's making sure to get started off nice and smooth. But we have Frontier action here for you tonight, every Thursday night. And we're getting ready for round one here. Anyone who's new to the format, maybe just following the channel, Frontier is a new Renegade format, getting a lot of steam, a lot of momentum from the community, although Wizards hasn't officially recognized it yet. It is a non rotating format similar to Modern. It is every standard legal set starting from Magic 2015 forward. So right now that includes Magic 2015, all of Khan's block, Magic Origins, all of Battle for Zendikar block, all of Shadows over Innistrad block, as well as all of Kaladesh block. Aether Revolt was just recently added. We expect to see it shake up the format a little bit here tonight. See some of the powerful new cards, potentially Fatal Push making an impact in a format with fetch lands. I'd expect it's going to be really powerful. Additionally, I'm hoping at some point, either tonight or in the next few weeks, we see someone try out the new Saheeli Cat combo deck in this format. It's going to play very similar to the one in Modern, but with better removal, better counter spells, just all around slightly improved deck. Getting ready for round one here, we have Rich Moan versus Tanner Cosgrove. We do not know what decks they are on at the moment. I'm sure we'll see that as we start play. They are shuffling up and getting ready to go, so we're going to hold you here for just a minute yet. Like I said, we have this Thursday Frontier event every Thursday night. We've run it for a few weeks now. It's a nice, good turnout, and we're only hoping it gets better from here. If you'd like to come out and play every Thursday night, 6 o'clock, we get started. It's a great time. If you can't make it out on Thursday nights, you can catch us here on Twitch. And if Thursday nights aren't the best for you, you can find a schedule of all of our events, all of our information on our Facebook, facebook.com/OwlCentralGames, or our website, owlcentralgames.com. We're going to get ready. We'll send you over the feature match. They're just getting ready to go here. Looks like the video might be slightly choppy, but hopefully that gets cleaned up as time goes on. Should be able to follow them, no problem. We have Rich Moan here on the left, Tanner Cosgrove on the right, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got that correct. We've got the wonderful red versus blue sleeves set up here. Should be fun. We'll see if the contrasting colors mirror the potentially contrasting decks these two could be playing. Like I said, no clue what these guys are on. Frontier is such a new format, such an undefined meta. You can really pull anything out. I've seen five-color Bring to Light decks. I've seen a Tarka red. You can have just about anything. You can see the players draw their opening hands here. Let's see if we can get a look at any of their hands, see what's going on. I'm seeing a Dig Through Time on my right. That makes me happy. One of my favorite cards. A really powerful card. Glad you get to see it in this format. I'd imagine that means he's playing some sort of control deck. And over on the left, I didn't quite catch anything he has in hand. Looks like there's a Prairie Stream there, so blue-white involved somewhere along the line. We're going to start off on our right here. Tanner plays a Flooded Strand and passes. Fetch Land Go is a pretty common play in this format. Coming back from the left, Fetch Land Go. We're going to see that fetch get cracked by Tanner, take him down to 19 right away. Saving time, looks like we're having the same thing on the other side of the field. Both players at 19, getting different dual lands, but dual lands nonetheless. Looks like we have two blue-based decks here. I'd imagine we're going to see something that resembles a control mirror. Personally, one of my favorite matches to watch are control mirrors. There's a lot of intricacies that a lot of people don't think about. There's a lot of really fine detailed play. You really get an advantage in the control mirror, not by one big play, but by a lot of small incremental advantage plays. Authority of the Consoles coming down here on turn 2 for Tanner. He plays a Flooded Strand for turn and passes. We're just going to play out a Prairie Stream tapped and pass the turn. Maybe a 4-color deck coming over on that side. On the right here, we see Tanner go get an island with that Flooded Strand, takes himself down to 18. So maybe this isn't the control mirror I was talking about. Seeing a blue, white, green, black over on our left makes me think it might be a Rally of the Ancestors deck. Very powerful. Pseudo control. It's more of a combo deck, but can definitely have some big impactful plays. So Tanner now untapping plays out. I can't tell if it's a Delta or a Sunken Hollow. It would have to be a Delta. Sunken Hollow would have entered tapped, so he plays a Polluted Delta as land for turn. And he's going to pass it back. Looks like a Matter Reshaper in Rich's hand, playing a Shambling Benson passing. We're going to see an end step Anticipate over on the Tanner side of the field. Hard to tell, but it looked like he grabbed a land there. He's also going to fetch on his end step. It's interesting there. If you cast that Anticipate, you know two of the cards that are on the bottom of your deck. I'm assuming he actually needs the land drops. Otherwise, he would probably want to just keep the two cards he doesn't want at the bottom, unless they are, in fact, cards he would like to have in his hand, or at least have the potential of drawing. So the only play we've seen so far has been Authority of the Consuls and an Anticipate from Tanner. Rich has played nothing, and he's going to be going into his fourth turn here soon. Interesting gameplay is how I'm going to word it. Tanner's going to go ahead for a main phase dig through time. That's an interesting one. He's going to go ahead and look at the top 7 cards of his library, pick any 2 that he'd like, and put them into his hand. I mean, it's a strictly better draw, too. It's incredibly powerful. He's going to get another dig through time off of that. This is just going to let him really set up. It looks like he's on an Esper Control style list here. Whether there's dragons involved or not will remain to be seen. Although it wouldn't surprise me. Ojutai, I'd imagine, is still one of the better finishers in the format. Tireless Tracker is going to be played out for Rich here on turn 3, followed up by a Prairie Stream. It's going to get the clue off of the Tracker, pass the turn back. The Tracker is going to be a very efficient creature, but I'd imagine it's not going to be around too long. Like I said, I mentioned that it looked like Tanner was on an Esper Control list, but we have yet to see any black mana or spells. Perhaps he is just straight blue-white, which will make that Tracker a little harder to deal with since he tapped out. I still don't understand why Tanner tapped out during his main phase for that dig through time. I think that may have been a play mistake on his part. It allowed Rich to resolve that Tireless Tracker, and now I'm imagining it's going to get a little bit of damage in here before Tanner finds an efficient way to deal with it. It's going to attack for 3. Puts Tanner down to 14. Rich still sitting at a 19 here. I'm sorry, Tanner should be at 15. He didn't gain a life when Rich played out that Tireless Tracker. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I'm just going to pay 3 here. Could not quite see what that card was. He's revealing 5 here. I believe it's the one where he makes 2 piles, or picks. I believe it was the one that reveals the top 5. You put any instants and sorceries revealed that way into your hand. So we got an Ojutai's Command and a dig through time. Second main is going to be a Collected Company attempted to be cast. This spell is going to come down and deal with that quickly and efficiently for Tanner. Rich is going to untap here. So you're just on some sort of 4-color company list for Rich. We're just going to go ahead and try to cast another creature here, it looks like. Eldrazi Displacer is going to resolve, giving Tanner a life. Some awkward synergies here. It's going to attack for 3 here, put Tanner down to 13. Now that Displacer is going to be powerful in that it can generate valuable of the creatures that have entered the battlefield triggers, which are what you're expecting to see in the Collected Company decks. But with Tanner having out that authority of the consoles, every time he does that, he's going to gain a life, and it's little incremental value, but it's still value. See Rich untap here, draw for turn. Tanner not hitting a land drop there, but he is at 6, so he can play just about anything in his deck, I'd imagine. I'd expect his curve tops out with Torrential Gearhulk. Now, Rich does have enough pressure on the board here. Tanner's got to find some way to answer it quickly, or he's going to find himself at a very low life total very fast. And looks like there's a Torrential Gearhulk in hand, so I'd imagine that's going to be how he starts answering things here. He's going to flash in that Torrential Gearhulk. Looks like he's going to recast a Dig Through Time, which is a very, very powerful effect you can do in this format. Here's my 5/6 for 6 mana at instant speed that lets me cast one of the most powerful spells in the format. Seems good to me. Four blocks, we're going to see a Murderous Cut deal with that Gearhulk. So it looks like Tanner is going to go ahead and take 6 here. Goes down to 7. So Rich doesn't have lethal on board, but he's got the ability to put Tanner down to 1 if he doesn't have another answer here. That being said, with a Dig Through Time, I'd imagine he's got an answer in there somewhere. See a Radiant Fountain come down. It's going to gain him 2 life, put him up to 9. He doesn't have a play on his turn, passes with a lot of mana up, but I'm looking at his hand, it looks like a lot of blue spells. He has a discard to hand size there. I think that's Pore Over the Pages is what was being discarded. We see another land enter the battlefield tapped here for Rich. It's going to be a Canopy Vista. Gurmag Angler is going to be the play from... oh no, I'm sorry, that's Engulf the Shores. That's just going to bounce all of Rich's creatures. That might be the effect Tanner needed here. If he's got a number of counter spells in hand, he can start dealing with Rich, who at the moment can still only play 1 spell per turn. At least if you're talking about impactful spells. We're going to see him try to play out this tracker here. It's going to resolve and enter tapped. And okay, I was wondering why Tanner would just let that willingly resolve. He's going to go ahead and cast a Dig Through Time on Rich's end step, hopefully finding some more ways to answer the creatures he's playing and hopefully put on some pressure. Rich is still at 19 here. Yeah, Tanner's got to find a way to start trying to turn the corner here. He's fairly in control of the game, but if he lets Rich's deck just generate value for too long, he's going to be in trouble. Looks like there's quite a few lands in that Dig Through Time here. Still check his hand, seeing what exactly he needs. Seeing an Authority of the Consoles in there. Yeah, I couldn't really make anything else out, which is unfortunate. I'd imagine he's not taking that second Authority of the Consoles. He's going to hit his land drop. He's going to go ahead and cast a Thing in the Ice. That can certainly be a way to turn that corner. Alright, I would expect he just passes the turn here, which is what he does. Thing in the Ice can definitely stave off that. Well, it can't really stave off the tracker. It's a 3-2 to start, and all Rich has to do is crack that clue, and it kills the thing. The Thing in the Ice, to be specific. Pardon me, folks. We're going to see a Reflector Mage attempt to be cast by Rich here. Advertise Command is going to counter that and draw him a card. Closest you're going to get to Cryptic Command in this format. Counter to spell, drew a card. should be a trigger that takes the counter off of thing in the ice. Although I think Tanner missed that here. As an attacker, we're seeing that clue sacrificed. It's going to be -4 here. Puts Tanner down to 6. I'm going to see and anticipate. I think I saw part the water veil in there. That's a fun one. I can't quite tell. I think Tanner missed quite a few triggers on that thing in the ice. It looks like it's still at 4 counters. And that is going to be a part of the water veil. It looks like he's awakening it as well. Wow. This is a little, this is interesting. I think he's just taking the first counter off of thing there, which is incorrect. He's attacking for 6 here, and I think we had a misplay here. I will go talk to the players, or have our judge go do it shortly after. Yeah, thing having 3 counters on it. Yeah, that's just wrong. It's painfully to Tanner Costco's advantage here. I'm really sorry about this, folks. Nothing we can particularly do about it at this point. He casts another another part of the water veil here. Is going to get another 6/6, attacking for 12 here, putting Rich down to 1. We'll see how this game finishes up, but yeah, I'm going to have to go say something to these players after the game. I believe there were a number of mistakes made here. I'm going to let this play out. Unfortunately, I don't believe I have the power to stop anything that's happened so far. Rich finally gets to untap here. Because those part of the water veils should have triggered thing in the ice, bouncing everything to hands. The second, there were enough missed triggers, it's hard to know exactly when it would have flipped, but if it would have flipped on the second, on the second part of the water veil, the first land would have been returned to Tanner's hand here. And then Rich just kind of at the stalemate of, he's got this thing in the ice down here that's blocking everything. He's going to try to cast the Reflector Mage, see if he can deal with it. It's going to get countered by Ojutai's command. Incorrectly putting thing in the ice. Again, that thing in the ice should have flipped quite a while ago. I'm going to talk to the players to see what the confusion was immediately following this game before they start game 2. Rich has another 3-mana spell here, which tends to be most of his spells. It's going to be another Eldrazi Displacer, which is going to trigger, giving Tanner another life. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to matter for Rich. Tanner's untapping. He just attacks with 2 6/6s. Rich can only block one of them. That's going to be game. He's just making sure that Tanner sees the line of attacking here. He does. Oh, wait a second. He has a removal spell, apparently. I'm going to see a Torrential Gearhulk coming down, casting Dispel to stop the cut, and that's going to be game, I believe. Because there are still 2 6/6s attacking, and Rich is at 1. That is not going to be game. I'm sorry. They are now flipping the thing in the ice, which will bounce all the creatures to their controller's hands, including the lands. So he doesn't know that interaction, but he only sees it. That thing in the ice should have flipped quite a few turns ago. Maybe he thinks that the remove counter trigger is a May, which it is not. He was already attacking this turn, so okay, he just got a little tripped up on his steps there. Rich is going to get a chance to untap here and see if he can find a way to deal with this thing and then stabilize. I'm not sure how Tanner has all his lands untapped. This board state is very. I think Tanner should have a number of things tapped here. I'm not sure what just happened there. This got fairly messy, and I apologize, folks. Our judge and our spotter is a little busy this evening and is not watching the feature match constantly, which is less than ideal, but it is what it is at this point. This is obviously not a competitive event. Players can generally try to fix things as best they can. I'm definitely going to go and try to inform Tanner of how he misplayed. Not even misplayed, played not according to the rules with that thing in the ice. But as I said, we'll let them finish out this game, and then I'll go say something before the next one starts. Rich Moan at 1, Tanner at 7. Rich does have out a Shambling Vent, though, so maybe a little tricky for Tanner to try to get this last bit of damage through. Just going to go ahead here. Attempt to cast an Eldrazi Displacer. It's going to resolve. It's going to be another life for Tanner due to the authority of the consuls. Tanner draws for a turn. He's going to attack for a 7. Oh, maybe not. He's holding back. It's possible he has some other play he'd like to make in this first main phase here. And he's going to go ahead and attack. We're just going to animate that Shambling Vent. And there's going to be an Engulf the Shore cast in order to bounce it. And they're going to call the game there. As I said, I'm going to run over there quickly and try to talk to them quick. I'm going to throw you guys up on our between rounds segment quick. As I said, I will be right back. I apologize, folks. All right, folks, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure they got that straightened out. He realized he missed the triggers after the fact. Shouldn't happen again. Honest mistake. They happen. As I said, I just want to make sure things were cleared up there for the players. Get as much magic as we're seeing on screen, as clean and as crisp as we can get it. Getting ready for round 2 there. Tanner did pick up game 1. As they get ready for round 2 here, I'm expecting out of the company sideboard, we're going to see some counter magic, ways to try to fight against what Tanner is doing. Excuse me. And then from Tanner, just more removal, possibly some more wrath type effects. There's quite a few in the format. Descend upon the Sinful exists. There's the 5 mana Awaken Wrath of God. End hostilities is in the format if you think your opponent's playing enchantments or artifacts, which I don't believe Rich is, but it is an option. Though not a very popular one. As I said, they're getting ready here. Authority of the Councils may have actually saved Tanner from quite a bit of damage there. Additionally, it allowed him to really... excuse me, folks. I'm sorry. It allowed him to really be a little looser with his plays and not have to play quite as tightly as he might if he didn't have that additional bit of life margined out. We're going to get ready and send you back over there. Player's still shuffling up, but getting ready to present. Obviously, with Tanner playing a blue-white control deck here, we're definitely going to see him taking the controlling role here. Rich, fittingly with the red sleeves. Ironically, the only color he appears not to be playing is red, but he is taking on the aggro role. Looks like Rich is taking a mulligan here. If there's a deck that can come back from that with a card advantage, it's probably the company deck. Drawing up there, it looks like he has a one-land hand. He's keeping it with a scry and keeping it on top. Plays out a Llanowar Wastes and says go. We're underway here, game number 2 of round 1. Bant Company on our left is on the play, hits a second land, and is going to immediately cast a Sylvan Advocate. Has to take 1 damage for it off that pain land, but a cheap, efficient threat is exactly what he needs here. If he can get this down before he can... Thing in the Ice coming down on turn 2 that was really going to make that Advocate a little bit stalled out here. We're just going to go ahead and fetch here. Takes himself down to 18. I guess that finds... It's possible he did in fact have a 2-land hand and I just missed one, but I think he may actually kept a 1-lander here. And it seems to be working out just fine for him. He's going to cast a Reflector Mage here, deals with the Thing in the Ice, gets in for 2. Really exactly how this company deck wants to curve out. Now it really just wants to be able to... It's got early pressure on the board. He's going to force Tanner to react. And once he does, Rich is hoping it opens up the lane for him to start casting Collected Company. They were going to miss one of the damage Rich was taking there to cast that Reflector Mage. And fetching down to 17 here. We see that 4th land come down for Rich. It's going to be an Anafenza the Foremost. Rich should have to take 2 damage to cast that, so he is down to 15 himself, but he's a commanding board state at this point. He's usually just got to be afraid of overextending into sweepers at this point, but I don't think it's anything he's terribly worried about. We see that Thing in the Ice come back down now. We'll see what Rich has in play to try to deal with it. The Thing in the Ice, fortunately, doesn't actually do any real damage on the block. It's good at negating damage, but it can't really deal with any of the creatures until he casts a lot of instant sorceries. Right now it's early enough in the game, he can only really cast one, maybe two per turn. So that Thing in the Ice is really just going to be a little slow here. I like Rich's positioning here. I think he's got enough power on the board, he can really apply pressure and hopefully close this game out. Looks like he's going to cast something here pre-combat. He's going to pay 2 mana, cast a Dromoka's Command. I like what he's going for here. He's going to try to beef up one of his creatures. He's going to try to beef up the Reflector Mage and have Anafenza fight the Thing in the Ice, which would kill it and open up the door for a lot of damage. That's going to happen. Rich getting ready to attack for, it looks like, 7, 8, 9 damage. That's going to get counted. That's going to be 10 damage if this goes through. I personally can't think of anything Tanner's going to have at instant speed here. He's going to take the 10. Tanner down to 3 here. He's got to have a Wrath or an Engulf the Shores or something to really deal with Rich's threats here immediately. If Rich even has another land, any one of those creatures is lethal. There's no way that Tanner can 1-for-1 his way out of this. He's got a fetch land, and he says go. Now his deck does like to operate at instant speed, but I can't think of anything instant speed that's really going to get him out of this except maybe an Engulf the Shores. And even then, that's only holding off, delaying the inevitable. There's going to be another counter going on this Reflector Mage here. It's now at 5-6. And Tanner's going to scoop him up here. Rich Moan closes that one out very convincingly. Players are going to shuffle up here for game 3. Really seeing what that company deck wants to do. Wants to curve out and continue to apply pressure here. It was just too efficient for the control deck to really keep up. Played a threat on 2, plays a threat on 3 that deals with your answer to my turn 2 play, and then was just able to continue applying pressure. Tanner needed to hit that turn 5 Wrath. We actually haven't seen any true Wraths from his deck yet. We saw the Engulf the Shores in game 1. But that only bounces things to your opponent's hand. It's not really a true Wrath of God. Your opponent still has the ability to replay all of those threats. In a deck like Collected Company, where sometimes the things entering the battlefield can be as impactful, if not more so than, more impactful than the creature actually attacking. Sometimes Engulf the Shore just isn't good enough. Excuse me, folks. And over on Rich's side, we didn't really see anything that was different from game 1. But he definitely just curved out better. It wouldn't look like anything that came out of the sideboard. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're going to hold you over here with my beautiful face for a few minutes. We've lost our signal from our feature match area, actually. Someone may have just tripped over a cable. We'll get that rectified right away and get you back over to the feature matches as soon as we can. In the meantime, I'll take a minute here. We'll talk about some upcoming events here at Owl Central. Later this month, we have our monthly championship event coming up again. Our first one went off great. It was standard, but we're really excited for the next one coming up towards the end of February. It is going to be Frontier format. And it has the potential to have the largest prize payout of any event we've ever run here. The prize payouts are staggered based on attendance. The more people we get, the more money we give out, and the more exciting it is. We want to give out as much money as we can. More information on the prize payout, as well as the dates and time for that event, and a schedule of all of our events can be found at owlcentralgames.com or facebook.com/owlcentralgames. Link to both of those and all of our social media accounts can be found below. Hopefully we get this cleared up quick and we get this third game underway here. But if you're enjoying what you're seeing, you're enjoying the quality of the stream, enjoying the magic you're seeing, you like Frontier, give us a follow here on Twitch. We really appreciate it. Like us on Facebook, follow us. Keep up to date on all of our events, all of our streams. In addition to all of our Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Events that we stream here, which include our Thursday Night Frontier events, Friday Night Magic at 7 o'clock. On Sundays, we stream our Yu-Gi-Oh locals, and anytime we have a major event on a Saturday, like a one of our monthly events or a PPTQ or a GPT, we try to stream it live. We like bringing you guys as much content as we possibly can. Oh, one second. Sorry, guys, trying to keep up with help get this issue fixed up here. Looks like we're still a little bit behind trying to get the feedback. Anyways, if you like any of those events, follow us on here, and you can keep up to date with everything. Additionally, we're starting a few new streams. Wednesday nights, we are streaming the digital card game Eternal. Luis Scott Vargas actually helped design this game. I played it myself. It's really fun. We've got some of our employees here, some of our locals streaming it for us. It's a blast. It's a really fun card game, really fun to watch. It's kind of a blend between Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. Very interactive and fun to watch. It's a great time. We also have our very own Luke Croteau, who joins me in the booth here on a regular basis. He's going to be streaming the Pokemon trading card game. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry. He's going to be streaming the Pokemon card game Tuesday nights starting around 8:30, give or take. I feel like there's a stream I'm forgetting to plug. Oh, of course. Every week on Monday night, we run our Magic the Gathering Parliament podcast here on the stream, as we call it. A few of us get together, talk about all the latest happenings in Magic, whether it be the new formats, as we recently had the banned and restricted updates where we saw some standard bannings. Whatever the news is in Magic, we try to talk about it. Some really good players. We've got some of our local judges come, some of our commentators, some of our best local players come out. It's always a fun time. Good fun podcast, interesting content. Can learn something, can have some fun. Join us here on Monday nights for the Magic Parliament podcast. I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying to fill up the time here. We're still having a little trouble with this technical issue. I'm going to take a quick break, see if I can help him get this straightened out. Additionally, I'm kind of just running out of things to say here to fill the time. I could come up with things unrelated to Magic, but I'm sure you don't want to hear those. With that being said, I'll take a quick break here, see how quick we can get this back up and running. Hopefully it'll be quick. We can get this game back underway and wrap up the match. Oh, maybe we're getting it back here? Looks like we might be getting it back. Nope, still holding out. Alright, folks. Well, a few other quick little plugs here. Obviously, we stream all of our major events. We really like bringing you guys this action, sharing everything here at the store with you guys. If you branch out from card games a bit, maybe you're into Warhammer, we have recently just launched the first month of our Warhammer 40k League here at Owl Central Games. It's gonna every month the point limit is gonna go up. We're starting at 1,000 points here for February. All that information can also be found over on our Facebook page. We have an event set up for it. Hopefully in the future we're gonna get some Warhammer live streaming or even just some videos up on our YouTube page. If that's something you're interested in, let us know in the comments. Feel free to shoot us a comment either here on Twitch, shoot us a message on Facebook. Let us know what it is you like, what you're enjoying, what content you want to see. We really appreciate the feedback. We care about you guys. We want to make you guys happy. It's always easier if you guys can help us out too. I'm going to take a quick break here, see if I can help them get this all straightened out. Actually, it looks like they might be getting every time I say I think I'm going to take a quick break here, it looks like they get it just about ready to go. I think we're just waiting on the program to reboot over there. We seem to have had an issue with the computer crashing. We're working on updating a lot of our equipment. If you hadn't noticed, we did just update all of our lighting in here, as well as over at the feature match area. It gives us a nice crisp color. Good, rich view for you guys. Yeah, it looks like they're still having some issues. I'm going to take a quick break here, see if I can help get everything straightened out, get this up and running as quickly as possible. We'll be back very, very shortly, hopefully with Game 3 here. I'm not sure if we're having the players wait or not, so it's possible we'll miss the third game. We'll definitely keep you updated on this situation, though, as far as how that game plays out if we don't get to see it. Oh, I'm going to hold up again because it looks like they did just get the program launched. Oh goodness, they did not hold the players up. We did get it back up. I'm going to hold on sending it over, though. We're having a few technical issues yet. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a quick break and run over to see if we can get this finished up quickly. We'll be back as quickly as we can, folks. I'm sorry. All right, folks, we're back. Like I said, tried to make it quick. We did not hold players. We are just getting life totals updated here, catching back up. We're going to send it over. Their game 3 is in progress. Looks like Tanner's at 9 and Rich is 18. Certainly seems to resemble game 2 a little more than game 1. That being said, Tanner does have a thing in the ice which is on 1 counter. That's going to flip very soon, if not immediately. As I said, we did just get this back up and running. We're having an issue with the laptop. We just got it rebooted here. Got everything set and ready to go. It appears we were on Tanner's end step. He fetched to 8, so we were on Rich's end step, passing to Tanner's turn here. I'd imagine we're going to see some spell flip that. Oh, bit of a graphical error here. Ojutai's command is going to come down. Oh, goodness, I'm sorry about this, folks. Looks like we're still having a few issues here. Tanner's going to gain 4 up to 12 with that Ojutai's command, as well as draw a card, bounce everything. Looks like that thing in the ice just transformed, and we're going to see an attack for, I believe, 7 damage here. That puts Rich down to 11 here. Tanner just turned a corner very hard, very fast here. Being said, everything is still in Rich's hand. He gets to replay all of his spells here. He could very easily find something that can effectively deal with Awoken Horror. 7/9s are hard to kill. They're not necessarily hard to deal with when you're playing Murderous Cut, Reflector Mage, all these sorts of spells, which we know Rich is. First thing he's going to cast here is a Sylvan Advocate. Try to draw any counter spells he might be playing. That's the only thing he's going to play here, actually. I mean, he's telegraphing it, but he has a Collected Company. That's the only reason not to play out more of the spells that were just returned to your hand. Tanner is going to play that Radiant Fountain here, gain 2 life up to 14. That Collected Company is going to get dispelled very quickly here. Looks like the Sylvan Advocate chump blocked. Let's see, Eldrazi Displacer is going to be the... Displacer is attempted and countered, it appears. Then a Matter Reshaper is played out as well. Somewhere in there, Torrential Gearhulk came down. I'm assuming that is what countered the Eldrazi Displacer. Which is now tapped out with one creature on the field. His creature's a 3/2 as opposed to Tanner's 5/6 and 7/9 or 7/8. Another thing in the ice is going to be played out here. Yeah, Tanner really in control at this point. I'm going to see an attack for 12 total here. Rich is just going to pick him up, sees the writing on the wall. That is going to put Tanner up 2-1, and that's going to be the conclusion of our round one match. So, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of that third game, but I think we can kind of see how it played out. Rich had a lot of early pressure, seems to have curved out. Tanner has enough answers to hold off to the late game where his spells get much bigger and much better with things like Torrential Gearhulk, things like flipping Thing in the Ice into Awoken Horror that bounces all of your creatures. Really just saw the control deck do what it wanted to do. Excuse me, we saw in Game 2, we did see Rich really do what his deck wants to do with just value, aggressive early creatures. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Just being really efficient and applying more pressure than could be answered. Unfortunately for Rich, though, games 1 and 3 go over to Tanner. Again, we're really sorry about those technical issues, folks. We're working on upgrading some of our equipment right now. Some of it's a little outdated. Hopefully we can get that reprimanded fairly soon. And hopefully we don't have any more issues for the rest of the evening. We're going to take a quick break here before we get ready for round 2. Shouldn't be very long. That match, obviously, control decks like to go long. I think that went towards the end of the round. Maybe for one of the last matches playing. So we're going to take a short break here as we get ready for round 2, and we will be right back. All right, witches and wizards, we are back to Thursday Night Frontier here at Owl Central Games. I am Robert Ellis, bringing you the action tonight. Eric Fairchild is going to stay over there, try to spot for us. He's also judging the event, so he could not join us in the booth here tonight. He's running everything. Nonetheless, we have action here for you tonight. Round two, we have Brandon Nietzsche on Green Black Elves versus Ethan Wallace, and we're not quite sure what he's on yet, but we will figure that out fairly shortly, I'm sure. Players are sitting down and getting ready, so we'll head over there shortly. Round one, we saw. Sorry, just confirming something quick with Eric there. As I said, round one, we saw Tanner. Oh, goodness, I forget his last name. Cosgrove, I believe. We saw Tanner playing blue white control against Rich Moan playing four color company deck. Tanner was able to take it 2 games to 1. Thing in the ice, bouncing everything. Game one, we saw him play a series of part of the water veils that chained a few turns together where he got 6/6s and was able to attack. And really, it was just big creatures in the late game. He was able to just outclass the quality of spell that Rich had once they got to the late game. Game two, we did see Rich really just outpace him, but wasn't able to keep up once we got into games 2 and games 3. The Elves deck we're getting ready to see here from Brandon Nietzsche is something we haven't seen a lot of here at Owl, at least. And it's a really fun deck. Deceptively powerful. I played a deck very similar to the list Brandon is playing when it was legal and standard. It plays like an aggro deck, but sometimes it just has a combo finish. That's how I like to describe it. Because you have things like Dwynen's Elite. All of your elves are just cheap and efficient, and you get to play a lot of them because you get to play mana creatures like Elvish Mystic. So you can just put a lot of aggression and a lot of pressure on your opponent. And then sometimes you just cast Chord of Calling and go and get Shaman of the Pack, and you just kill them out of nowhere. Sometimes you get to cast Shaman of the Pack and kill them out of nowhere. Sometimes you just play 2 Shaman of the Pack and you kill them even more out of nowhere. If you can't tell, I think Shaman of the Pack really ties this deck together. The players are getting ready to shuffle up and deal here. We are going to send it over. Oh, I'm sorry. I had those names backwards. Brandon is there on our right. Distinctly recognizable by his Lord of the Rings tattoo there on his arm. Looks like Ethan is taking a mulligan here. Brandon, considering. It looks like he's keeping. If I'm recalling correctly from last week, I think Ethan is going to be on a Tarka Red. He's one of those players that can change it up from week to week. But from that look at his hand, it looks like that is in fact what he's on. I'm going to call it. If I am incorrect, we will find out very quickly. Leaves with a Bloodstained Mire and a fetch down to 19. Excuse me. Gets a mountain and is going to play out a Zergo Bellringer. Ironically, the smaller, weaker of the 2 Zergos that were printed is by far the more powerful one due to its playability and low mana cost. Brandon's going to go ahead and play a Forest Elvish Mystic. Really just signature plays from both of these colors. Basic land into a 1 mana 2/2 versus a basic land into a 1 mana 1/1 that taps for mana. Both decks really setting up how they want these games to go. We're going to see a fetch down to 18 here for Ethan. And I'd imagine we're going to see Zergo attack in for 2. We'll see if anything else hits the battlefield before, though. He is going to pay 2 mana. He's going to cast a Smuggler's Copter, and then we're going to see the attack for 2. Imagine Brandon's just going to take that here. Yep, he takes 2 down to 18. I don't know if Brandon has anything in his main deck to really deal with that Smuggler's Copter. If you are playing Court of Calling, I like playing a 1 of Reclamation Sage. Not sure if that's the route he's gone here, though. You see another Elvish Mystic come down here. A third Elvish Mystic. Oh, wow. Brandon's going to be able to play pretty much anything he wants on his next turn, assuming nothing gets taken out here. He's going to get aggressive with an Elvish Mystic attack in for 1 here. Puts Ethan down to 17. The Elves that can take a turn or two to set up to really do anything too crazy, but I think we're going to see something crazy here in the next turn or so. Brandon's going to take 3 here. Nothing you can do at the moment to deal with that Smuggler's Copter. Ethan debating how exactly he wants to discard here after he draws for turn. Not for turn, I'm sorry. Draws off the Smuggler's Copter. He's going to fetch here down to 16. Tarkus Command is going to come down by 4 damage, actually. So this is going to be another damage coming in on the Copter, I'd assume, as well as 3 to the face. Swift Spear comes down. Interesting he didn't choose to play that before combat. Could have been a few extra damage that would have been really significant. Also possible that's what he drew off of the Smuggler's Copter. That would make the most sense here. Brandon has 5 mana available this turn if he misses his land drop. If he makes his land drop, there's 6. We'll see what he has here. Notably, there is no black mana at the moment. It's possible that that's going to be an issue for him. He's going to play Dwynen down. Oh goodness, I can't remember the surname of Dwynen there, but she's the gives all of your elves +1/+1. He's an attack for 2 here. Put Ethan down to 14 by my count. Brandon not getting a life there because Dwynen does not get to attack. If Brandon is able to untap here, I think he's going to be able to stabilize quite well. He's at 11. That seems like a safe life total with his Atarka red deck. There's no such thing as a safe life total. He's going to go ahead and crew the Smuggler's Copter with the Monastery Swift Spear. We're going to see an attack for 3 here. It's going to trigger the loot ability on the Smuggler's Copter. Ethan draws a card, will then discard a card. It's going to get rid of a Lightning Strike. Has an Atarkus command here. Deal 3 damage. Give his creatures +1/+1, I believe. Brandon's going to take another 7 here. Down to 4. He's got to have something happen here. I'm not intimately familiar with Brandon's list here, nor am I intimately familiar with the text on Dwynen. Dwynen's league that I am familiar with, it's a 2-mana 2/2 that gets a 1/1 if you control another elf. I do know that Dwynen in some manner games you life. Brandon is just going to pass the turn here. I don't like that line. There's too many things in Ethan's deck that deal direct damage. I mean, a Wild Lash and a Lightning Strike here, and you're just dead, and you have nothing to do. The longer you wait, the more Ethan is going to be able to stabilize. So Ethan is stable. The longer you wait, the more damage he'll be able to do. He's going to go ahead and crew up that Smuggler's Copter. Brandon doing some math here. I think the math Brandon's doing here is that if there's no defense from... Ethan's going to go ahead and resolve that trigger before Brandon declares blocks here. If Brandon could attack everything and unblock, I think he has lethal. That Smuggler's Copter is going to run into Dwynen there, who has reach. Another land comes down for Ethan, who is going to play a Stoke the Flames, dealing 4 damage. That's going to kill Brandon. Yep, that's game there. Ethan wins game 1. surprising. I think if there's anything besides Stoke the Flames in Ethan's hand there, I think Brandon is able to steal that game. That being said, obviously, he did have the Stoke the Flames. That's part of the power of the, part of the power of Smuggler's Copter. Lets you filter through your deck, really find the spells you need to close a game out, and Stoke the Flames very good at that. Just gets that last damage home, really gives you that little bit of reach you need to close out some of these games. We did see some of the explosivity of the Elves deck there as well, though. Really just Brandon played turn 1 Elvish Mystic, turn 2, 2 more Elvish Mystics. I have 6 mana on turn 3. What do you have? In this case, it was a lot of damage, was the answer to that question. The Adarka Red deck doesn't give decks a lot of time to set up, and Brandon took a little too long, I think. I think if he's a turn faster with getting out some of his bigger plays, that Dwynen in specific, he can probably stabilize and pull that game out. Out of the sideboards here, obviously there's got to be some sort of life gain if you're on Brandon's side of the field here. You need to come into this format with some notion of how you beat Atarka Red. It's one of the bench lines of this format. If you can't beat this deck, you probably don't want to play whatever it is you're playing. That being said, looking over at Ethan's side, if he has any sort of Wrath type effects, this is probably where he wants to bring them in. Other than that, I don't imagine it's the best matchup or the worst matchup for Ethan. I can't think of much Atarka Red really wants to bring in against Elves other than something like a sweeper. Elves really just wants more life gain, more than anything. The players are getting ready to draw their hands, so we're going to send you back over. Brandon will be on the play here. And we'll see if they like their hands. Something we didn't see out of Brandon's deck there in that game 1 was Collected Company or Court of Calling. I think you have to play one of them. Both players are going to keep their 7. Brandon leads Forest Elvish Mystic. Ethan leading Mountain Monastery Swift Spear. Brandon's going to take 1. Oh. Brandon plays an Elvish Visionary, draws a card here. And he's going to attack back for 1. Elvish Mystic getting in there. Best aggro creature in the format. Looks like another Swift Spear coming down for Ethan here. He's going to attack in. No blocks from Brandon. That's going to be another 2. Puts him down to 17. It's not exactly the line here Ethan wants to have on turn 2. Brandon gets to untap here with access to 4 mana. Looks like he's got a Dwynen in there, and I think that's what we're going to see cast here. Additionally, I did see a Sylvan Messenger. We're just going to attack for 1 here. Ethan going down to 18. Brandon very aggressive here. Even though he's definitely more of the more controlling deck, he's going to have the better late game. Doesn't mind getting a few attackers in there getting dirty. Sylvan Messenger is going to be the play. Ethan just wants to double check the text on that. If I'm not mistaken, it is look at the top 4 cards, put any elf creature revealed this way into your hand. He's going to get a Dwynen's Elite and a... oh, goodness. Me and forgetting the name of these elves. Costs 1 black, I believe. Can tap for a green, only to cast elf spells, and I think you take a damage off of it. It's another mana dork, effectively. Distinctly worse than Elvish Mystic, but still a valuable spell. Ethan is going to fetch here, putting himself down to 17. So we're at 17 all at the moment. I don't imagine it's going to stay that way very long. Ethan getting to untap here. 2 mana, 2 Monastery Swift Spears. If I'm Brandon, I'm expecting quite a bit of damage this turn. Looks like a Smuggler's Copter comes down. Both those Swift Spears get triggered and attack for 2 damage each. 4 in total. He's going to go ahead and Brandon's going to go ahead and take that. Put himself down to 13 from that attack. Ethan at 17. Kind of looks like Brandon's stuck on black mana again. I know there is a Shaman of the Pack in his hand. So I'm going to go ahead and pay 4 here. Let's play out a Dwynen Kiltleaf Liege, maybe it is. Anyways, the legendary creature from Origins. Looks like he's going to attack for 5 damage here, if I'm doing the math correctly. My spotter will confirm that for me in just a moment here. Yep, Ethan's going to take 5, go down to 12. Fetches to 11 here. Again, if I'm in Brandon's position, I'm worried. There's a Smuggler's Copter. There's another Swift Spear on the board. Besides that, you only have back 1 blocker. It doesn't take a lot here for Ethan to really turn the gas up and really start putting a lot of damage away very quickly. Let's see a Fetchling get played out here. 3 mana. Hordling Outburst is going to play from Ethan. Not the most explosive play here, but it's gonna do a little bit of work. 3 Goblin tokens come out. One of them is going to crew up Smuggler's Copter. And an attack for 7 from Ethan Wallace. He's going to get that loot trigger here. Excuse me. Excuse me, folks. I apologize. Looks like he discarded Dragon Fodder to it. Brandon determining his blocks here, taking a second to think about it. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get rid of... It's a tough call. The Smuggler's Copter represents more damage. It represents Ethan getting to dig deeper in his deck, as opposed to Swift Spears, which could be more damage in the long term. Ethan is going to fetch before damage here. Puts himself down to 10. This is where I'd expect to see something like a Wild Slash or a spell that will deal just enough damage to take the Dwynen's Elite out. Make it trade with the Copter, effectively. And that is what we see, Wild Slash. So the Smuggler's Copter is going to die. That being said, Brandon's going to take 6. Puts himself down to 8. Ethan at 10. That's going to make it really difficult for Brandon to come back and stabilize here. Unless he has another Dwynen in hand that can let him set up better blockers. Even if he could play the Shaman of the Pack that I believe he has in hand, that's only 8 damage with all the attacks. He's going to play out a Dwynen's Elite as the play for turn. That's going to give him a lot more blockers. He does effectively have the ability to match blocker to blocker Ethan's board. Again, that is assuming Ethan has no place. I'm expecting he will. Ethan gets to untap here. 5 creatures on both sides of the board, variable power and toughness across, but Ethan's have the ability to grow 1 spell, and those Swift Spears become negative value blocks for Brandon. That being said, there's still probably something he has to block. Attacking isn't great here for Ethan unless he has an Atarka's Command. If he has an Atarka's Command, it's really just a blowout. We're going to see him see Ethan attack with everything here. We'll see how Brandon decides to line up his blocks. Looks like he's going to line up the 1/1s with the 1/1s. Puts his 2/2s in front of the 1/2s. I don't like this block here. All Ethan has to do is cast 1 spell, and it's a blowout. He has an Atarka's Command. That might actually just be lethal then. I don't think Brandon played around it. Looks like Brandon's only taking 5 here, which puts him down to 2, and all those blocks just became awful. If I'm Brandon, I think what I do there is chump block all of the Swift Spears and put my larger creatures in front of the Goblin tokens so that even if there's an Atarka's command, they'll still trade. I think Brandon got a little greedy with those blocks there. Brandon finally has black access to 4 mana. We're going to see him play out that Gnarlroot Trapper, I think is what that card is called. And he's a 2 here. He's really in trouble. Ethan, if I'm in Ethan's position, I'm very confident in my board state right now. And Brandon's going to pass back. He has 4 open mana, but Swift Spear, the third Swift Spear comes down, and Hordeling Outburst is going to come down, making a lot more tokens, make all of those Swifts. Every one of those Swift Spears is now lethal. 2 of the Goblin tokens are also lethal. I don't see how Brandon really pulls this out. He's only got 2 blockers, and Ethan has 6 attackers. All of them coming at Brandon now. He's got a spell. Collected Company. I still don't know how he pulls this out, but he's going to give it a shot. Flips his 6. Looks like there's an Elvish Visionary and a Dwynen's Elite. Maybe he pulls off not dying here, but I still don't think he's in an advantageous position. No, because he can still only block 4 creatures, and if 2 of those goblins get through, that's going to be game. I think Brandon's still just dead here. Oh, wait, see, maybe I'm missing something, but nope, that's going to do it. Brandon takes exactly 2 after casting that Collected Company, hitting the only way he doesn't die there is if he hits 2 Dwynen's Elites, I suppose. Didn't quite get there. Hit a Mystic and a Dwynen's Elite. And that is going to wrap up our round 2 here. Ethan Wallace going 2-0 over Brandon Nietzsche. We see Atarka Red beating Green-Black Elves. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to see if we can either get another matchup or possibly get Ethan here for a quick deck tech, talk about that round quickly. I think we've got quite a while left. So we're going to send you over to our advertisements quickly, and we'll be back very shortly. Like I said, either with another match or with a little bit of extra content for you guys. I'm Robert Ellis, and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here. I'm here with Ethan Wallace, who we just saw playing round two here with his Atarka Red deck. So, Ethan, congrats on winning that game, first of all. So, what made you pick Atarka Red for this format?
Uh, I play Modern Burn, and
Okay.
the deck shares a lot of
So,
cards.
so you had the deck, basically.
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
I picked up like the smuggler copters and everything else I already had. So
All right, did you play this deck when it was in Standard at all, or strictly picked it up for Frontier?
I did not play it when it was in Standard. I had a few friends who did play it,
Okay.
and they really liked it, and I like aggressive decks. So
This is certainly an aggressive deck.
yeah,
We did see you win in two games, seemingly pretty easily there. That Dwining could have given him a little life gain to really stabilize, but you had enough removal to deal with him,
yeah,
deal with the Dwynens efficiently. Is that about how you expected the Elves matchup to go?
pretty much. I mean, I have a friend that plays it. I play test against elves kind of consistently. Um, it kind of elves has a rough time against the burn.
Not really much they can do to deal with your burn spells
No,
that go directly to the face. Nothing really fight against the removal. They just have to try to go bigger or go wider, and
yeah,
you
and
were just able to kind of out tempo him there, right?
I mean, yeah, it's hard. They don't really have anything that can produce as many bodies as like the Whirling Outbursts or the Dragon Plotters. So
Speaking of, we're going to send over, get you a look at the list here. Suppose I should have killed the overlays. Anyway, we can see what you have. What you have over here. We'll leave the overlays up. Oh well, show off your win.
yeah,
Just looking at the deck here. Obviously, 4 Monastery Swiftspear is a obvious choice. You have 4 Abbot of Carol Keep in here. Rounding out the creature base, you've got 2 Lightning Berserker, 2 Goblin Freerunner, 2 Goblin Rabble Master, and 2 Zergo Helm Smasher. Interesting there, you decided to go for 2 outs for a bunch of those. Is there any reason you went with 4 sets of 2 as opposed to 2 sets of 4 on any of those creatures?
um, well, Rattmaster is kind of slow. He heals a little more in like a game where you're looking to kind of grind out the win. Um, Zergo is legendary, so I didn't really think that I wanted more than 2 of him. Initially, though, I was running 4 of the Reckless Bushwhackers um, instead of uh, the two.
Lightning Berserker?
No, the other
No.
one I just named.
The Goblin Rabble Master?
Rabblemaster, that's it. My bad. The Rabblemaster though has really helped out with some more grindier matchups when the deck can falter if your opponents have something like Radiant Flames and they wipe all your goblins. Rabblemaster is really good at building back up that board state and giving you something that's dangerous for them that they have to really be concerned about. So you swing it in with a 7/2 Rabblemaster.
Now, looking over at your spells here, we can see 4 Smuggler's Copter, kind of a creature, kind of an equipment. Either way,
Yeah.
very efficient. Really helps you dig into the deck.
Yep.
And then you look at the rest of the spells here: 3 Hordeling Outburst, 4 Dragon Fodder. Interestingly, only 2 Lightning Strike. That's what I think most people would think is a 4 of in this deck. Why are you only running 2?
It's a split between the Stoke the Flames and Lightning Strikes. I really like Stoke off of any of your token producers. It lets you do something when it looks like you're tapped out, and you can stoke them for the win. I mean,
Yeah, we saw that in that game. Actually, you were able
yeah,
to just draw out any spells Brandon might have, and then cast Stoke the Flames to kill him on his own turn.
yep, yeah,
And then obviously 4 of the namesake card for Atarka Red, Atarka's Command, absolutely an all-star. This deck
it's
probably doesn't exist without Atarka's Command, right?
no, Atarka's Command is way too good. It's kind of an addiction. I'm addicted to it in Modern Burn. I'm addicted to it in Frontier now too. So
There are much worse things you can be addicted to.
true.
In my case, it's control decks, generally much less effective than the aggro decks in most formats. And then we see a 1 of Become Immense. There's definitely some versions of this deck that run more Become Immense and more Teamer Battle Rage, kind of go for that combo kill. What led you to decide to play more of the go wide version as opposed to the combo Become Immense Battle Rage
Well,
package?
especially with Fatal Push being in the format right now, all of my creatures can be Fatal Pushed. So it kind of hurts to try and get in there with your huge Swift Spear and then have it get Fatal Pushed when you go to, give the final hit
Push.
for that 18 points of damage on one creature.
Yeah, a very powerful setup, but definitely going all in on one creature, and you're just trying to avoid the go all in and keep a little bit more of a consistent game plan.
Yeah.
Now, looking down at the sideboard here, it looks like we have 2 copies of Natural State, 4 Smash to Smithereens, 4 Roast, 2 Rending Volley,
Two running volley.
a
Goblin
Goblin
cutter.
Heel Cutter, and I can't tell what those other 2 are there.
Boiling earth.
Boiling Earth.
For Zendikar.
And what is the text on that card? It's been a while since I've seen it.
I believe it is 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls, and then it has an awaken cost of 5.
Okay, so that's probably for kind of the mirror match trying to deal with a lot of goblins, right?
It also helps against Ensoul artifacts, and I brought it in against the elves.
Okay. Why don't you just quick run us through the sideboard, what everything's for?
So Roast is kind of the same purpose that it functioned in Standard when it was in Standard.
2 mana, deal 5 damage to target Rhino.
Yeah, roasting a Rhino. I killed some Kalidases last week with it. It's a very good card for things that burn otherwise can't deal with. Um, the Rending Volleys for the same reason. Um, Heel Cutter was an all-star last week against, I mentioned Kalidas. Just being able to
Lets you get around some of their blockers that can really give you trouble.
Yeah, the Heel Cutter is a surprise all-star from the sideboard. Um, Natural State, just an all-around good card. It kills Ensoul Artifact is the big one, and Smash to Smithereens also another card to deal with Ensoul Artifact, and also there's some Panharmonicons running around. So,
So it seems like your sideboard's really geared towards 2 decks really, Ensoul Artifact and then the green black mid range decks with like Rhinos and Kalidas. Are those probably your 2 worst matchups?
I would say that like the green black X decks are a little harder because if you don't kill them outright, you can run out of steam if you're not drawing off of your copters.
Okay.
But Ensoul Artifact it's a surprisingly difficult deck for this deck to beat. Um,
As someone who just built Ensoul Artifact, I'm glad to hear that.
it's a dirty deck. It can really get in there and surprise you for some wins that you think you're gonna win. My first week playing Frontier, I played 3 very close games against the deck. Ended up losing to it. The next week, I won against it. So, and that was actually when I decided to bring in. I originally only had 2 smashes and 2 natural states, and I brought in 4 more smashes because I saw a lot of Ensoul Artifact and just artifact decks in general.
Definitely a popular build around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it being a rough one with a lot of their creatures just blocking yours very efficiently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they make Thopters, and obviously there's not a whole lot that I can do to deal with that. So.
A Tarka's command can give your creatures reach. Very
It's
line of text that's not always relevant, but I've seen a few games lost on it. Give one of my buddies grief to this day after he missed that in a Standard game he probably could have won.
yeah. It's
It can
Tarkus Man is just a good card.
absolutely namesake of the deck and
Yeah.
easily the most powerful card. All right, Ethan. Well, thank you for talking to us. Run us through the deck. Best of luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a quick break here. I am Robert Ellis, and we'll be back for round 3 shortly. Missed the All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back here on Thursday nights at Owl Central Games with Frontier. We're getting ready for round 3 out of 4 here. We tried to not bring you the same players onto the stream in a row. Excuse me. We tried to not even have the same players on at all on the same night. Doesn't always work out. This upcoming match here, both of these players we've seen on stream already tonight. We are going to see Ethan Wallace, who we just saw go 2-0 against Green Black Elves. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ethan Wallace is going to go up against Rich Moan, who we saw on here earlier playing his 4-color company deck. White pairing shook out. That is the matchup we get to bring you, and hopefully bring you at least one new player in the last round. And hopefully that'll be one of our undefeateds. We're hoping to have a 3-0 to 3-0 in the fourth round. We'll see exactly how everything shakes out. That being said, players are just about ready to go here. They're drawing their open hands, and they are underway, so we're going to send it over to the feature match. Rich Moan on your right, Ethan Wallace on your left there. Ethan's going to fetch down to 19, starting things off after Rich played a pain land in the form of a Llanowar Wastes and passed the turn. Ethan, we're certainly expecting to have a turn 1 play here. And he has a Monastery Swiftspear. We're going to see Rich go down to 19 himself, and then draw for turn. Rich plays a Yavimaya Coast, gets a Sylvan Advocate out, has to take on damage to do it though. Sylvan Advocate's going to definitely slow down that Monastery Swiftspear for sure. Forest for Ethan Wallace here. It's a Tarka command mana. I think that's all that's particularly relevant here. I mean, I think he has to attack here in some capacity. Now, Rich really... Yep, Tarka's command. It's going to be a total of 6 damage, putting Rich down to 12 right away. That's just how explosive this deck is here. A Tarka Red, we saw it last game. We're seeing it again here. That's 6 damage on turn 2. There's nothing new. If you block, you sacrifice your only creature and still take 3 damage. I see a Jace Prince Prodigy here from Rich, and then an attack for 2 as that Sylvan Advocate does indeed have Vigilance. Puts the Tarka down to... Rich would take a pain there, I'm sorry. So he's at 11. Ethan is at 17. And we see an Abbot of Carol Keep is the play here. We're going to see a fetch here from Ethan down to 16. I'd imagine we're going to see him get a land and play out that Lightning Berserker. And really, he probably just passes the turn after that. There's not much that he can really represent here. He's got to get the card advantage here to try to stay ahead in case this game goes long. Yeah, he's going to play out that Lightning Berserker and just pass the turn. We're just going to go ahead and loot here with Jace. No cards in the yard yet. Downside of playing the Pain lands with Jace as opposed to a fetch land mana base. You really lose the ability to fill your graveyard up particularly quickly. Looks like he's just discarded another Wastes. Or another Jace, I'm sorry. He's going to play a Tireless Tracker here and make his land drop for turn, getting himself a clue. No, I don't think he's going to attack here. Rich did have to take 1 damage there. Goes down to 10 himself here. Neither player has great attacks right now. If Rich attacks, he risks losing his creatures and just trading off, and then Ethan potentially having another hasty creature like a Swiftspear and just blowing him out. If Ethan attacks, Rich's creatures are bigger, and if Ethan doesn't have a combat trick, he just has nothing to really gain from these attacks because Rich's blocks are so good right now. Dragon Fodder is going to help the 2 Dragon Fodders here, so we're going to see 2 prowess triggers on both the Swiftspear and the Abbot of Carol Keep. going to see some creatures get in here. Abbott attacking as a 4-3. Swift Spear is a 3-4. We'll see what Rich decides to do here. It looks like he's going to try to trade off with that Abbott and then take 3. So both the Tireless Tracker and the Abbot of Carol Keep are going to head to their respective graveyards. Rich taking 3 down to 7. Land for turn is going to be Polluted Delta for Rich. Maybe not. He's going to loot here first. Not sure why he's doing it in this sequence. I don't think he's got enough cards in his graveyard for it to matter at any point anyways. At least not this turn. And, looks like he's going to discard Flooded Strand off the... I guess that's why he wanted to hold that Flooded Strand. I want to make sure he discards the land if he wants to. Now he puts out a Polluted Delta as his land for turn. He's going to commit to that one. He's going to fetch here, put himself down to 6. It's real dangerous territory against this Atarka red deck. Between that Lightning Berserker, the potential for Atarka's command to just be a complete blowout. Rich is at a really dangerously low life total here. Ethan's still at 15, so he's not feeling pressure on the other side. And, I mean, as efficient as Rich's deck can really be, when you're just dead, you're just dead. It doesn't matter how efficient your creatures are. I mean, I would think he has to kind of hold back a bit here, hold something up in mana. He's going to go ahead and play something out here on the main phase. Looks like a Reflector Mage is going to come down here. I'd imagine that's going to deal with that Monastery Swift Spear. No, he's going to bounce the Lightning Berserker, actually. You see, no attacks from Rich. Potentially incur. Yeah, I think Rich forgot to attack with the Sylvan Advocate there. Would have been a free attack. Ethan making his land drop here. We're going to see a Hordeling Outburst come down. Tick up the Swift Spear. 3 more goblins. And, we're seeing a lot of cards turn sideways here. There's 4 goblins there. Rich assigns blocks. We're going to see a fetch from Ethan. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be Atarka's command to kill you. Rich does have a Spell Queller in hand, but he did not leave up the mana to cast it, so this Atarka's command is going to resolve. Atarka's command is going to deal 3 to Rich, and then an additional 6 damage gets through. So that's going to be 9. That's going to wrap up game 1 there. And at risk of jinxing him here, Ethan Wallace going up 1 game there rather convincingly against Rich Moan. It looks like he might be on the track to go 3-0 and find his way at our undefeated table here in round 4. He's playing the deck very clear. When we were talking a little bit before that deck, he was saying sometimes it's inconsistent. And we just really haven't seen that. We've seen it be very consistent here tonight. I know he made some changes since last week, so maybe it's really smoothed things out for him. Just an absolute powerhouse of a deck. Doing what it wants to do, being very fast, very efficient, and as opposed to the standard version that was played at the time of Atarka's command and all of these cards being in standard, this version really has the reach in the form of it still has Stoke the Flames, it still has Lightning Strike, it's got a lot of cards that are still giving it a lot of reach here, that it can close out that mid game even when the mid-range decks start to really generate all that value that they're known for, and that's really their game plan. Looking at the sideboards here, if you're Rich, you want to bring in life gain. Feed the Clan would be strong. He may have some other stuff. Authority of the Consuls probably isn't bad, if that's something you're playing. And looking at Ethan, we did see his sideboard earlier. I expect those roasts to come in. I don't think you're going to see any of the artifact removal he has in there. But definitely the roast would be one of the big ones. Just a little bit more efficient removal is really his game plan. Rending Volley probably comes in as well. Deals with a lot of Rich's creatures when he's in blue and white. Yeah, he'd probably just take out some of the slower threats. Not 100% sure what comes out, but I'd imagine we see just the more efficient removal coming in. Wants to clear the way for his creatures to attack and get the game over as early as possible. I am so sorry, folks. Just can't stop yawning. Not sure why. Seeing plenty of exciting Magic here. A lot of fast-paced games with this Atarka red deck on the feature match here. Second game in a row. Players are shuffling up and getting ready here. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on Ethan here, just because the Atarka red deck is so fast and it can just win out of nowhere. And that's really its benefit, is that it can just kill very quickly without you expecting it. You're going to think you're safe. You can be at 12 life. Next thing you know, it casts Dragon Fodder into Atarka's command and to stoke the flames, and you're dead. It can just absolutely kill you when you think you're safe, when you think you are perfectly fine. And it's really frightening and it's really dangerous. Players are getting ready and presenting their decks here, so we are going to send it back over to the feature match. Sorry about that. Had to reset the life totals there. At the moment, yet we have the commentary team also working as the tech team, so I am in charge of both keeping the scores and life totals up to date, as well as bringing you all the action, keeping it entertaining. Looks like both players are taking a mulligan here, going down to 6. I think this situation really favors Ethan here. Rich needs to hit kind of that critical mass of lands and spells to make sure that he's generating enough value to really commit to his game plan and really just keep the board clogged up and get the best spells he can resolved and keep up his curve. If he stumbles just a little bit, it can really hurt him, especially against such an aggressive deck like the Atarka red deck. It really wants to punish people stumbling, and the first stumble you can make in a game is having to mulligan. Looks like both players are going to keep here. Both players scrying, and I think they both kept on top here. So we're going to see Rich Moan start us off. As a Flooded Strand, he's going to go ahead and crack it. I'd be surprised if he's getting a tap land and just using the fetch now as a way to just shortcut, mitigate things. Seems to be what happened here. Looks like it's Canopy Vista entering the battlefield tapped. Ethan has a Bloodstained Mire and no play on turn 1. Let's Rich untap with that Canopy Vista. Waste is going to be the play here for Rich. Nothing to follow up with. Ethan sacrificing that Bloodstained Mire on Rich's end step to go get a land. See a Cinder Glade come in tapped. Both players at 19. We see Ethan get ready for his turn 2 here. Again, land go. Really not what Ethan wants to be doing. Rich has a forest. Plays it out into a Nissa Vastwood Seer, it appears. Yeah, I can't see anything else to cast off that. Yep, Nissa Vastwood Seer comes down. He's going to search, go get a forest here, reveal it, put it in his hand. Ethan's just going to go ahead and lightning strike. I suppose Richard's basically that Nissa is still there. I thought he would have wanted to kill the creature. No, definitely just goes directly to Rich trying to take him out. Looks like a roast is going to deal with that Nissa on Ethan's following turn. That's why he didn't want to spend that lightning strike on it. He had another spell that couldn't do any damage directly to Rich. Rich gets to draw another card here. Floated Strand, sacrificing it right away. go ahead and get another land here and pass the turn back. We'll see another land for Ethan here. I'm going to see him cast a Hordling Outburst. Looks like in response, we're just going to cast a Collected Company. Probably hoping to hit a Spell Queller here. That'd be a really good Collected Company. And doesn't look like he got a Spell Queller, but he's got some powerful cards there. Anafenza the Foremost. Looks like there's a Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Just going to grab that Anafenza. And the second card, I believe that's a Jace. Might also be another Nissa. Hard to tell at the moment. It was, in fact, a Jace. That Hordling Outburst will resolve. We're going to see a bunch of Goblin tokens coming down over here on Ethan's side of the board. Which gets to untap here with this Anafenza and a Jace. I think he can flip that Jace this turn, especially with this Windswept Heath. He's going to put himself down to 14, but getting to flip that Jace over, potentially cast another Collected Company here, get a lot of value. And see if that's what he decides to do here. He's going to go ahead, activate Jace. In response, we're going to see a fetch from Ethan. Probably going to try to kill Jace here. I'd imagine that's the play. Ethan's going to grab that Cinderglade. And Rending Volley is going to get rid of Jace Vryn's Prodigy before it has the chance to transform. Which I think it's a draw a card and discard a card from the Jace's ability still resolving. Considering his discard here. Looks like he's leaning towards whatever that transform card is. He's reaching for that Silk Wrap. Second guessing himself though. Every card he has is fairly well suited against this Atarka red deck. He's going to get rid of one of the legendary creatures that transforms into a Planeswalker. Can't quite tell which one it is from here. Sylvan Advocate is going to be played out here for Rich. Rich going to attack with Anafenza. Ethan casually trump blocking with one of his Goblin tokens. He's untap. We're seeing a Roast trying to deal with that Sylvan Advocate, and that's going to work. Going to stoke the flames to deal with Anafenza. With that, Rich's board has been cleared of creatures. Ethan only has a card or so left in hand. Rich has 4. Most of them reactive cards as opposed to proactive cards. But it appears there's another land, a Murderous Cut, and a Silk Wrap. We're going to see Rich fetch down to 13 here. Attacking for 2, cast a Tarkus Command before damage. Let's see if Rich decides to try to burn this Murderous Cut here. It looks like that's what's going to happen here. Rich is going to go ahead and cast a Murderous Cut before damage. He's still going to take 5 here. That's going to put him down to 8. He gets to untap, but he's slowly running out of ways to fight back here. I don't think he has any creatures yet. Plays out a forest, spreads his lands for turn. Yep, there's a Silk Wrap and there's a Dromoka's Command. If I'm in Rich's position, I probably just cast this Silk Wrap. Ethan not having creatures is very relevant. Yep, Silk Wrap's going to come down and deal with that Goblin token. It is gone forever. So, land for turn is going to be Ethan's play. Rich untaps draws. Looks like that draw was a collected company. No, it was an Eldrazi Displacer. He's going to play that out as his land for turn. That's a really good one here. With that card, he's going to be able to really just neutralize any potential threats Ethan has. Ethan needs to get that thing off the board as fast as possible. We're just going to untap here. He's got Dromoka's Command. He's got... that's another murderous cut. We've seen attack for 3 here. Ethan's going to go ahead and accept that. Knock himself down to 15. This looks like an Atarka's Command on end step, which is interesting. It's a way to just deal some damage, I suppose. Rich casts the Dromoka's Command in response to stop the damage. So he's going to get a counter on that in the process. Looks like an attack for 4 there from Rich. That's got Ethan down to 11. He gets another Horling Outburst. And, versus the Sylvan Advocate, again, he's in a position where he might just be able to stall the board out here, and Ethan might not be able to get quite enough reach to close it out. That Dromoka's Command effectively countered the Atarka's Command coming over from... I think we missed... Yeah, apparently there was a damage out there. Ethan is still at 15. Ethan turning all his creatures sideways. Rich is going to go ahead and block here. And he's going to take 1 down to 7. I'm not sure what the game plan was here. It seems like a bit of a reckless attack, but maybe he just knows he's not going to have anything better. Let's see a Roast come down and deal with the Eldrazi Displacer. Or at least try to. He's going to go ahead and blink the token before it dies. Rich has a 4/5 Sylvan Advocate up here. Gets to untap with it too. This could spell trouble here for Ethan. Ethan's going to go ahead and take 4. Plays out a Smuggler's Copter. He's not out of it yet. Rich attacks for another 4. It's going to put Ethan down to 7 here. Looks like 7 all. And that is going to be a Dragon Fodder for Ethan. He's going to curb the Smuggler's Copter and try to attack here. Looks like a Murderous Cut is going to deal with it beforehand. Rich draws an Eldrazi Displacer. Rich plays out that Eldrazi Displacer. Blinks the token, attacks for 4. And let's see what happens here. There's an Abbot of Carol Keep. It's going to reveal a Dragon Fodder. The Dragon Fodder is going to get cast. There's 2 more goblins. And Ethan is going to pass the turn back to Rich here, I believe. Rich gets to untap here. He's got Eldrazi Displacer. He's got Sylvan Advocate. looks like he's only got one colorless source though, so he can only blink one of those tokens. I mean, I suppose he could blink the Advocate, but that seems pretty bad. He's going to get rid of one of the tokens, and he's going to attack with the Advocate and the Displacer. Two chump blocks fairly quickly from Ethan. Ethan gets to untap now. And Ethan's going to scoop it up, it looks like. He just doesn't have the reach here. Rich is going to take game 2, and we are getting ready for game 3 here. Yeah, we just saw Ethan run out of gas there. Unfortunately, it's a risky run when you play this a darker red deck. You've got a lot of really powerful plays, can do a lot of damage really fast, but when you get to the late game, you can just get outclassed so fast, so easily. When you start only playing one spell per turn, and they're below the power curve for what should be happening at that stage of the game when you get in turns 5 or 6. I mean, it's the old adage the aggro decks either win by turn 5 or start losing on turn 6. Obviously, Ethan didn't win by turn 5 there, and he proceeded to just go downhill from there. Now, we didn't really see anything in either of their decks. Well, we didn't see anything from Rich's deck that really looked like a sideboard guard, especially nothing overly powerful like a Feed the Clan or any sort of real life gain. Ethan, we definitely saw cards like Roast and Rending Volley really shine there. They're able to deal with Rich's creatures in a much more efficient manner than his normal removal. We'll see if Ethan can find a little more of that and try to do the same thing here in Game 3. Both players are going to keep their 7s. Ethan plays a Mountain and says go, and we are underway here. Game 3 of Round 3 of our Thursday night Frontier tournament. We're just going to go ahead and play a Polluted Delta and fetch here. You'll see some players kind of do that. You saw Rich kind of stutter there for a second, like looks at his hand, tries to figure out what his first land needs to be. Especially playing some of these 4-color decks, it can be very complicated. You really have to make sure you sequence your mana correctly, and if you don't, you can really get punished. I know when Jeskai Black was a deck in Standard, I played it quite a bit, and it was fairly difficult to sequence your mana correctly. If you messed up and you stumbled, you could really get punished. These Atarka red decks live to punish people that play the 4-color decks and stumble on their mana or missequence things. It's really what they were built to do, and they do it really well. We're going to see Rich play another fetch land here. He's going to go ahead and crack it early. Doesn't leave up quote unquote counter magic mana for the turn. I don't believe he's playing any, but you can at least represent it. Looks like that's not really what Rich cares about here. He just wants to play things quickly and efficiently, get done in a timely manner. Ethan Wallace fetches down to 18 here. And Monastery Swiftspear comes down, and a Dragon Fodder comes down. That's going to buff up the Swiftspear. One of those Goblin tokens is going to crew the Smuggler's Copter, and there's an attack for 5. That's going to put Rich down to 13. Ethan's going to get to draw a card and then discard a card off of the Smuggler's Copter. Yeah, that's Atarka Red. Not sure what else to say. We'll see if he has another powerful turn. I guess it'll be his turn 4 by the time he gets done tapping in. We'll see if he can have one that matches the power of that turn 2 there. Or turn 3, I apologize. Rich is going to go ahead and fetch again, puts himself down to 12. And he passes the turn. This could get dangerous. Rich has nothing on board. Ethan has cards in hand as well as a pretty built-out board himself. We're going to see a Goblin crew up Smuggler's Copter. The Smuggler's Copter is going to get hit with a Murderous Cut pretty quick there. It's going to be an attack for 2 here. Rich goes down to 10. Does look like he gets to untap, though. He's going to get to play out a Llanowar Wastes and pass the turn. Ethan untaps, plays the land for turn. Just going to go ahead and sacrifice one of them, go down to 17. Grabs another mountain. Hints me he might have that Cinderglade in hand. And we're going to see an Atarka's Command here. Before attacks. Interesting. Yeah, I was going to think about the modes here, though. I imagine it's going to be deal 3. +1 the team. Plays out a Reckless Bushwhacker here. I mean, Rich is holding up company mana, but it's going to be enough. He's going to cast that Collected Company we were just talking about. Looks at his 6. Uh-oh. I see an Eldrazi Displacer, and I see a Reflector Mage, along with 2 of the Transform cards. This could be a very, very powerful setup that Rich has come in here. If he can get Displacer and Reflector Mage on board, he can effectively start practically locking Ethan out of the game. I'm just going to attack here. Still a lot of damage coming Rich's way. He might have to just chump block some of these creatures here, and it might prevent that soft lock with the Reflector Mage and Eldrazi Displacer from really getting the setup. Looks like Displacer is going against the Bushwhacker, and there's a Reflector Mage in front of the other one. Rich still going to take 3 down to 4 here. Ethan's going to fetch himself down to 16 here. Rich has an Evolving Wilds here. See, looks like that's what he wants to play for turn at least. And Rich is going to hold off on that Evolving Wilds. Looks like he's going to decide to play a Plains instead. And he's going to pass the turn back. With that Eldrazi Displacer out, it's not going to take a lot for Rich to close this out. We're going to see a Roast going after that Displacer. The downside of Eldrazi Displacer is it can't blink itself. So it can't protect itself from this Roast. It can get rid of that Goblin token if that is what Rich chooses. Could also delay the damage from a Swift Spear. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. It's probably not the line that Rich should be looking at here. Rich is going to... He's rearranged his mana all over the place here. He's running through quite a few different combinations in his head. He's going to cast a Spell Queller here on that Roast. Goes ahead and eats it up. Looks like there's an attack with... Well, he's attacking for 3 right now. We'll see how Rich decides to block. He's going to go for the Swift Spear. I like this block. He's dead to a Tarkus command anyways, and there's a Become Immense. Rich has a Dromoka's command, though. That might be what he needs to close this out. Or at least to survive this one. He's going to cast the Dromoka's command. I'd imagine he puts a counter on the Displacer. Has it fight the token. I think the Displacer's still going to die. I'm not sure exactly how that sequenced there. Looks like Ethan got it. Perhaps Rich didn't sequence things quite right. I thought he had a turn left there. Regardless, he did not. Ethan is going to take that one 2-1. Yeah, we see Atarka Red just being the explosive, aggressive deck there again. The 4-color company deck just stumbled, and Atarka Red's here to punish the decks that are going to stumble. It's interesting. Ethan says he finds it inconsistent, but I think we've seen nothing but consistency from it. It's aggressive and very powerful in the early game, and it makes the decks that want to do the slightly more inconsistent mid-range value plan really pay if they stumble. And we saw Rich stumble twice here, and Ethan was able to take advantage. And additionally, the explosiveness that this Atarka Red deck brings is incredible. We got to see Become Immense, that's one of in Ethan's deck, but we saw it really shine there. Any creature they got through was lethal almost 2 times over. If that Swift Spear gets through, I think that's 10 damage that would have been dealt. That's ignoring the fact that, however that last exchange happened, Roast may have gotten cast there. It seemed like the Spirit was going to die. A good game, and we definitely see Ethan really shining here as a player and really knowing that aggro deck inside out. And when it counts, he puts the damage in and is able to drive it home. So we're going to take a short break here and get ready for round 4 of our Friday night. I'm sorry. Lose track of time working here sometimes. We'll be right back with round 4 of our Thursday night Frontier tournament here at Owl Central Games. If you want more information on this Thursday night Frontier event or any of the events we stream here, such as our Friday Night Magic, our Sunday Yu-Gi-Ohs, or any of our big Saturday events like our upcoming monthly championship for February or our PPTQs or GPTs that we host here, check us out on Facebook.com/OwlCentralGames, as well as OwlCentralGames.com. This is where you can find a full list of all of our events, as well as more details on them, special offers in the store, and all of our streaming times, everything we're streaming schedule. Follow us here on Twitch if you're enjoying the content you're seeing. Give us a like or a follow on any of our social media accounts. All the links to those are below, as well as our website. I am Robert Ellis, and we will be right back after a short break for round 4. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here for the final round of our Thursday Night Frontier tournament here at Owl Central Games. I am Robert Ellis, once again, narrating all of the action here for you this evening. As I said, we're getting ready for round four here. Recap of the evening. Round one, we saw Blue White Control beat Four Color Company. Don't think I recall. Round two, we see Atarka Red pretty swiftly deal with the Green Black Elves piloted by Brandon Nietzsche. Just out tempoed him, was able to get underneath of him. In round four, or round three, we're starting round four, sorry. It's been a long day. On round three, we saw Atarka Red again, this time dispatching Four Color Company. And we're getting ready for round four here. We're going to see Blue White Control coming in again with Tanner Cosgrove playing against Atarka Red in the form of Eric Henson. If I had to make a prediction here, my money's on Eric. I think the Atarka Red deck's really going to get underneath of this Blue White Control deck and dispatch of it quite quickly. Out of the sideboard, it's possible that the Blue White deck has some stuff that can really slow them down. We know he's playing main deck Authority of the Console. That's something that can really put Eric in a pinch and slow the Atarka Red deck down. Over on Eric's side, he just want to be as fast and efficient as possible. Probably, like I said, he's once again underneath it. If we look at the sideboard, hopefully something like a Rending Volley that won't be able to be countered can get it, take care of most of the creatures he cares about when you look at Thing in the Ice being the big one. Players are getting ready to draw their hands and get ready to resolve mulligans. So we're going to send you over to the feature match. Eric Henson on your left here with Atarka Red. Tanner Cosgrove back here in the feature match playing Blue-White Control. Players patiently waiting for the "you have 50 minutes, you may begin" here. And they are underway. Looks like Eric is going to go ahead and mulligan. Both players showing their hands here. It looks like all lands for Tanner Cosgrove. Eric Henson seemed to have one land and a bunch of 3-mana spells. I would call neither one of those a functioning hand, at least not in any high capacity. So hearing some of our co-workers here bickering back and forth about starting clocks on time and getting ready to get the match underway. Regardless of how they get things rolling on a technical aspect, we are getting this match underway here shortly. Both players mulliganing down to 6. Looking here, with both players mulliganing to 6, again, I think this really favors the aggressive deck. Atarka Red just needs a few things to stick and really punch through. The control deck needs to have a critical mass. Looked like both players are keeping Eric Scryde his to the top. Tanner Cosgrove is going to send his to the bottom. And we're underway here. Swift Spear getting in for 1 right off the bat. Puts Tanner down to 19. Tanner's going to go ahead and fetch right away. Put himself down to 18. We'll see if he has a 1-mana play here, which is not expected. Nope, gets a tapped land. Back over to Eric Henson. Not sure why he hasn't untapped yet. I think the player's just being technically correct, finishing every action of the fetch before they move on. Eric draws a land, plays out another Swift Spear, and he is going to attack for 2. It's going to put Tanner down to 16. Yeah, Tanner plays an island and says go. Not a lot happening here for this blue-white deck. That being said, Eric needs to end this as quickly as possible. Looks like he's got a Cinderglade, and he's going to go ahead and cast a Dragon Fodder. It's going to trigger prowess on both of the Swift Spears regardless. And looks like it's going to resolve as well. Eric getting to, oh. Mismatched goblins. Can't approve that. Still mismatched goblins. One of them has the name crossed out with marker. Loses some style points there. He's going to attack for 4 here. It's going to put Tanner down to 12. And anticipate on end step. He's going to untap here, play out his island, and send the turn back. Needs to be careful. This is definitely the sort of position where Eric can close the game out surprisingly quickly. Eric is going to fetch down to 19. First damage he's taken so far. I do not believe it would be a far-fetched statement to say it may be the only damage he takes in this game. He's the potential to end the game this turn. 2 Swift Spears and 2 Goblin tokens. It doesn't take much. 1 Atarka's command puts Tanner to 9. And then combat damage. We'll see what Eric's got here, but I imagine he has some amount of action here, and I imagine it's going to put Tanner in a very, very tight position. We see a Dragon Fodder here. Triggers prowess on both the Swift Spears as well as getting out the tokens. Tanner not even looking at his hand here, kind of signaling, if you got it, you got it. But he has something pre-damage. Oh goodness, I'm not even sure what that card is. Waiting here for Miss Ryder exactly how this is resolving. Tanner's going to take 5 here in total, it appears. He's going to go down to 7. Nothing off the board for Eric, though. Representing lethal on board with no spells. And if he has spells, it's just a further way to guarantee lethal here. I'm sorry, he's actually 1 damage short of lethal on board. I miscounted there. Eric, 1 card in hand, couldn't see what it was for the draw. He's going to attack here for 6. Engulf the Shores is going to be the play here. That's going to return everything to his hand. So those tokens are gone. Those Swift Spears are in hand. And Eric's going to go ahead and play out a... Oh, Metallic Mimic is the play. Assume that name's human. Both of those Swift Spears are going to enter with a +1/+1 counter now. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Eric, so even after a pseudo board wipe, Eric's still representing 6 damage on board. Any spell is lethal. Another Swift Spear is lethal. A lot of things that can lead to Tanner just being dead here. Eric attacking for 6 damage. And Ojutai's command, I'm assuming that would be gain 4 life, draw a card. Puts him up to 11. And then he's going to take 6 right down to 5. So Ojutai's command staving off the pressure just a little bit. We'll see if it's enough here. Eric plays out another Metallic Mimic. Again, there's currently 8 power on the board for Eric Henson here. If Tanner can't hit a Wrath, he's in trouble. And worth noting, we did see him play a match on camera earlier, and in none of those games did we see an actual Wrath effect. We saw Engulf the Shore, which we saw this game as well, but nothing like a Descend Upon the Sinful or a Planar Outburst. Everything was temporary. We're going to see a Reckless Bushwhacker come down here. It was the first spell play this turn, but it's another threat that needs to be answered. Tanner taking a second and reading it. If he does have a counterspell, maybe considering it. He's really taking a second here. If he doesn't have something here that can really slow Eric down and just grind him to a halt, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to cast Ojutai's command. I would assume that is going to counter the Reckless Bushwhacker and gain 4 life. That's going to put Tanner up to 9 here. Counters the Bushwhacker. We still see an attack for 8. That's going to put him down to 1. There's so many things now. He's going to gain 2 again from the Radiant Fountain. But still, so many things that are just lethal here besides the board, even if he has a way to deal with that, like another Engulf the Shore. I'm going to see a Goblin Rabblemaster come down as the play for turn. It appears that second Mimic had named Goblin. Solid bet for Eric. He's going to move to combat, generate the token, gets a counter on it, and we're seeing a big attack out here. Torrential Gearhulk is going to flash in, and he's attempting to recast Engulf the Shore. I thought Engulf the Shore used an X. I don't think that works. Apparently it does. Gearhulk's going to buy him some time here as well as get a... Yeah, Torrential Gearhulk's certainly good at stabilizing the board. Eric going to take 5 here now. We'll see if Tanner can really pivot off of this Gearhulk. It's looking more and more like Tanner's really been able to just turn this corner here, and like he's firmly in control of this game. Incredible. He was at 1 life at some point during this match, and is now favorited to win if you'd ask me. I'm not sure what sort of interaction he has in hand. It looks like several draw spells, which could be a little difficult. He is still at 3 life. If Eric Henson draws a lightning strike, he's just dead. If he uses that Flooded Strand and he draws a Wild Slash, he's just dead. I'm going to see a Mimic come down. Not sure what that's named, though. I imagine I'll find out shortly. Looks like it named Goblin, because that Rabblemaster comes down with a +1 counter. And we're going to see a 2/2 Goblin attacking here. Has to be made and has to attack every turn. I would be very, very surprised if that does not just run into a Torrential Gearhulk, and that's exactly what happens. Tanner looking at casting a spell on end step, I believe. Decides not to. Interesting. I think he had an anticipating hand and he chose not to cast it. Draws for turn. Takes a moment to kind of account for everything. He's at 3. It's going to be very difficult for him to attack at this point. He's really going to need to flip that thing, get some stuff out of the way, and start trying to go to town that way, I believe. I think it's not going to take a large window here for Eric to get through. It only needs one little gap to really be able to push things through. We're going to see a pour over the pages here. It's going to be a counter off of Thing in the Ice. Looks like he's going to reveal Anticipate being the only card he's going to get off that. Draw spell into another draw spell is not ideal there. I think he wanted some sort of interaction, whether it be a counter spell, a removal spell, even another Thing in the Ice may have been better there, but he does hit the Anticipate. He will have to work with what he is given. Back on Eric here. He's going to play another Metallic Mimic. This one I would expect names Human. 3 Swift Spears come down. Wow. If every one of them enters with a +1/+1 counter, it's not looking like Tanner has an answer at the moment. We're going to get the Goblin here. Enters with a +1/+1 counter from Metallic Mimic. And I think we're going to see a lot of creatures turning sideways here. Yep. Everything that can is attacking. Any 2 creatures is lethal. There are only 2 blockers on Tanner's side of the board right now. Unless he has another Engulf the Shore in hand, I don't think he can really fight back this one. And now, looks like he's going to go ahead and cast a Dig Through Time here. I don't know what he thinks he's going to find for 1 mana that's really going to help him out. I think it's too little too late. If he sacrifices that Flooded Strand, then any 1 creature is lethal. He is at 3 life. He's going to take a look, though. We'll see if he can find anything that helps him out here. I'm taking a look. I don't see... I mean, there's an Engulf the Shore there, but like I said, he only has 2 mana open at this point. I don't... Actually, even any 2 1-mana spells would be enough here. I can't think of 2 1-mana spells he's playing that he can just cast. I mean, Dispel is legal. You need something he can cast to try to deal with it. Something like a Hydro Lash or something, and then a Dispel to just bounce everything. And I don't think he has it. He's going to fetch, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does have something here. That's going to put Tanner down to 2. He has to stop every creature from dealing damage at this point. He's casting an Anticipate here. I think you might just be wondering if there's something he's not remembering himself. Eric is going to take that game and go up 1-0. An interesting conclusion to that game 1 there. Thought Tanner might have been able to pull it out there. He had that Dig Through Time. He had the thing on the ice. All he needed was to be able to actually flip it. And he was just short. As I said, something like, I think he cast that Hydro Lash earlier in the game, maybe that into a Dispel. Did achieve no other effect than, other effect than flipping Thing in the Ice, and thus bouncing Eric's entire board. Could have slowed him down. I still don't know if he was able to stabilize enough there. Eric had a lot of pressure that would come out really quick. As these players get ready to sideboard, I think Tanner's looking for life gain and things that slows his opponent down. Cheap efficient removal like Silk Wrap, Authority of the Consoles would be very good in this matchup, making all of Eric's stuff enter tap and gain him life. All of his spells effectively do 1 less damage when they're aimed at directly at Tanner. Lightning Strike is now 2 mana, deal 2. Wild Slash is now 1 mana, deal 1. They become much less efficient. Over on Eric's side, like I said, I think he's going to want some... He needs to have a way to deal with Torrential Gearhulk. That's a big creature that he has a hard time dealing with. Outside of that, things like Reddening Valley and Roast can deal with Thing in the Ice very efficiently. I would imagine there's some sort of artifact removal in the form of a Smash to Smithereens, potentially natural... Oh, goodness. Potentially some other artifact removal. I'm sorry, I'm playing what the other popular artifact removal in the green-red decks is at the moment. Irregardless, or regardless, the English language is strange sometimes. Regardless, his primary concern is going to still be aggressive and try to get under the blue-white deck. He stumbled slightly. I think if he finds an Atarka's Command on turn 3 or 4 in that first game, Eric wins it much faster. He was able to still just barely edge out the victory there. but it was getting close. I don't think Eric wanted that game to go any longer. He wanted to end that right there. Tanner, on the other hand, really his deck did what it wants to do. It's just very difficult to do that effectively against the red green Atarka deck. The deck is just so low to the ground and so fast. By the time you start getting to counter spells and removal spells, a lot of the times you're just dead. We'll see if Tanner can turn that around, keep things going positive for him here. They're still wrapping up, but we'll send you back over. So they're getting ready. Just last reminder here: please check out our Facebook page or our website, owlcentralgames.com or facebook.com/owlcentralgames. If you want to know next time we're running a Frontier tournament, spoiler alert, it's next Thursday. Or what other events we're going to be running here if you're interested in playing, or what we're going to be streaming. We stream most of our big events, including all of our weekly, our Thursday night Frontier events, as well as our Friday night Magic, which is standard. We stream those every week. We stream Yu-Gi-Oh! Every Sunday, and then any of our bigger events we run for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, we try to stream, whether they be a Saturday Grand Prix trial, our monthly championships, which we just had our first of. We'll have another one coming up in February, which is going to be the Frontier format. Or some of our big Yu-Gi-Oh! Events. We actually might be streaming some of those this weekend. I believe there's a new set coming out for Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't quote me on that. Not a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Player myself, but we have plenty of people in the store here who are, both employees and customers alike. Great player base. Should be a fun time if there's a new set coming out, which I'm 99% sure there is, so I'm sure that'll be a blast. If you wanted to see every time we go live for all of our content, again, the full streaming schedule is available on our website or our Facebook page, as well as follow us here on Twitch. Helps us out, helps us bring you more and better content, and that's our ultimate goal here. We are underway here for Game 2. Tanner starting things off with an island. Eric has a mountain and says go. I don't like when the Atarka Red deck misses a turn 1 play. We are going to see Thing in the Ice come down here. Eric's going to go ahead, draw a card, and that 0-4 is going to make it real hard for Eric to get much done here. You see Eric take 1 from a fetch. Goes down to 19. And he's going to play out that Metallic Mimic. When it comes down, I would expect that it is naming goblins, but and another Thing in the Ice here. Eric fetching again here. He's going down to 18. I don't know how he's going to deal with two 0-4s here. Yeah, this is going to be very difficult for Eric to deal with. 1 is hard enough. Now that there's 2. He's going to play a Foundry Street Denizen here. Yeah, so we definitely named Goblin here because the Foundry Street Denizen is entering with a counter. And we'll see if he has anything to follow it up with. I would really hope so. Yep, looks like there's a Dragon Fodder here. That's going to be a 2 mana for 2/2/2s. A lot of 2s in that sense, but Mimic really doing a lot of work here. I think that's a very a valuable asset for this deck. Really, just going around them might end up being how Eric deals with these 0-4s. The problem is going to be once Tanner gets them to flip and it bounces everything to Eric's hand, how well is he going to be able to recover from that? Eric has a Goblin Rabble Master here. Enters with a counter, and that's going to be doing a lot of damage really quickly here. Got another 2-2 over that Rabble Master, and there's going to be a lot of damage coming in here. I believe the Founder's Redemption should attack as a 4-2 here, if I'm not mistaken. Denison's going to attack as a 4-2. There's a lot of other 2-2s coming. There's going to be a lot of damage coming to Tanner one way or another. But Flair just making sure they get the total correct here. So they're just making sure the players understand how exactly Rabble Master is going to work here if Tanner has any responses before anything happens. The Foundry Street should still be attacking 4-4. That's going to be a lot of damage coming at Eric. Even if he blocks 2 of them, there's a lot. If he's going to block 2 of them, that means he's going to take 8 damage here. That puts Tanner down to 12 here. Eric's not losing any creatures unless Tanner can cast 4 spells this turn. He's not in a good place. He is casting Anticipate. Looks like he was almost making these things triggers. I am messaging our spotter to make sure they get resolved. And yeah, they caught him. Seems good. Reason to. Tanner's going to gain 2 life off of this Radiant Fountain. He's at 14 here. I'm not sure if he has them, but there are definitely ways where Eric just wins this game right here. We're going to see another Foundry Street Denizen come out for Eric, triggering the first one, as well as entering with a counter from the Metallic Mimic. Counters in there, another trigger, and ooh, the Goblin Token from Realmmaster having haste here. I'm not doing the exact math here, but Tanner, if not dead, is in a lot of pain. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 damage plus a lot from the Rabble Master and a fairly large number from the Foundry Street Denizen as well. Looks like those are going to be the 2 creatures that he tries to block. We're going to Temur Battle Rage on the Mimic, which should be giving it double strike and trample, so it should be dealing 12 if I'm doing my math correctly here. He's actually going to put that on the Rabble Master. I'm sorry, giving it double strike and trample, which should just be lethal unless Tanner has a counterspell. He does not. Eric's going to take it, winning 2 games to none. Well, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Atarka Red just very aggressive, very much curving out, and really punishing the blue-white control deck for being slower. Hit really hard, really fast, and I think the blue-white control deck just wasn't really ready for that. If you're going to play a control deck in this format, you need to be ready for Atarka Red. You need to be ready for the blue-red and soul artifact decks. The aggressive decks are very, very strong in this format, and we definitely just saw. I think every time we saw Atarka Red on camera tonight, we saw it win. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's very powerful. Contrary to what one of the pilots said, I think it's very, very consistent. and we definitely saw it come out there very strong. The interesting splash there, we did see two slightly different flavors. Earlier tonight, we saw the deck tech with Ethan Wallace and his Atarka Red deck. Eric Henson, we just saw play. The big differences we saw, one, Eric had Teamer Battle Rage that actually let him trample through that last bit of damage there at the end. It looks like he's probably playing a little bit more on the Become Immense Teamer Battle Rage route as opposed to more of the burn spells that give you more reach. Really just two means to the same end, needing a way to get through that last bit of damage. And we saw Teamer Battle Rage be used to very good effect in that last game, giving his Goblin Realm Master trample and double strike, and just getting through more than enough damage to finish off Tanner in that last game. The other interesting card that we saw was Metallic Mimic. That's one we haven't really saw before. We haven't really seen before. I'm sorry, pardon my grammar. And I think it's really good. I think when you build a Tarka Road a little bit more on the go wide plan with the goblins, I think that's a very powerful choice. I mean, it makes all of your spells that create goblins or goblin tokens remarkably efficient. It itself is fine in being a 2-1 attacker, but that's not really why you play the card. We saw it just be brutally efficient there. I mean, he was attacking for 10 unblocked damage with 2 Thing in the Ice on the field. When I saw those Thing in the Ice come down on Tanner's side of the battlefield, I thought they might really be able to just kind of stall out Eric Henson and just keep him from doing much. And Eric proved otherwise very quickly, very efficiently. I was impressed for one. Eric, known to play the aggressive decks, he was playing Red White Vehicles. I'm sorry, Mardu Vehicles last standard because it was the most aggressive deck in the format. We see him playing Atarka Red here because it's the most aggressive deck in the format. And locally, I think he's definitely making a name for himself as an aggro player, and not a bad one at that. We are going to wrap up here. It's been a long night. Commentating is difficult, particularly when you're by yourself and have to fill every match with interesting and informative topics by yourself, especially when you go ahead and lose the video feed partway through the second match and have to fill up half the match with banter. So we were going to wrap up here. It's been a long evening, but definitely a fun one. Frontier's it's a great format. I hope it picks up more steam. I hope Wizards recognizes it soon. With all the community attention that's been being paid to it, as well as all the momentum it's gaining, which I'm sure most of you watching at home have been a part of, whether it be on Reddit or on Facebook. Is really picking up a lot of momentum. It's making a lot of noise, and Wizards going to have to acknowledge that soon. Even if they don't recognize Frontier itself, they're going to have to recognize the need for a more accessible Eternal format. Modern, as great as it is, and as much as I love it, is very difficult to get into right now. You're spending a couple $100 on a deck, as opposed to Frontier, where you can buy in for $100. I picked up the few things I needed for the Red, Blue, and Soul Artifact deck. No, I picked up the entire Red, Blue, and Soul Artifact deck. I needed all of it for about $90, I think. Maybe a little less than that. It's an affordable format, and it's still a really fun and a young format with a lot of viable decks. What Modern was originally when it was first incarnated was the idea of the standard cards that rotate out of standard, but you still want to play. You could still play them in Modern. With how big it's become and how big the card pool's become and how popular it's become, that's less and less true. And I think Frontier is filling that role to a greater degree. You loved playing Atarka Red in Standard. Play it in Frontier. You love Blue, Red, and Soul. Abzan Midrange. Jeskai Black. Rally the Ancestors. All these decks that were these popular standard decks are viable in Frontier, and they're better in Frontier. And the metagame's really balanced itself out nicely, at least here locally. We'll see it ebb and flow between the very aggressive decks to more of the mid-range decks to the combo decks. And it's really interesting to see that dynamic, especially when you start seeing people sideboarding for what they saw last week, as we saw Ethan Wallace when we did a deck tech with him earlier. He added in more artifact hate because he saw a lot of Ensoul decks in the first week or two of us having the format here. I think it's really healthy right now. At least on our local level here. I don't know the world meta game. There's no big tournaments to really analyze it. But on our local level, it's a very healthy format right now. I think it's a really healthy metagame. It's really fun, and I think we're only going to see it grow from here. let us know your opinions in the chat. Leave a message on our Facebook page. Follow us here on Twitch and let us know via message on Twitch. We'd love to get your feedback. Hear what you think about this format. What other formats do you want to see? What other content do you want to see? We're hoping to branch out into some more content soon, do some more deck techs like we did tonight. Maybe get some interviews, put up some alternative content sort of stuff. Let us know what you want to see. We really appreciate it. We do this for you guys. We want you guys to enjoy the content we're bringing you and really enjoy the material and really enjoy the game as much as you can. And if that means we have to put more effort in this stream and get it to you guys in a higher quality so you can really enjoy the stuff at home, that's what we want. So please give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate it. With that being said, we're going to wrap up here tonight. I am Robert Ellis. This has been Frontier. Good night and good gaming.